Join the team.
Hey, theMCGuiRE Review, and this is the second of our third Gen Con videos where we're going to do a little bit of a deeper dive or story time on some of the stuff that's on the table. And this might be a video that you're not interested in, right? Maybe you just want kind of that first video where we hit sort of the overview of Gen Con 2025. Maybe you want the third video that may or may not have been released at this point. That's really on the review of the con and kind of where the con is going, and I think I have a fairly unique perspective as this is my 16th Gen Con. So maybe you're just interested in that, but this is going to be more of a story time video on some of the things that are on the table, which I thought would be kind of unique. I've never really done that particular type of video before. Just kind of tell you a little bit of a story around some of the items that are here. We're not going to go through everything because if we did, it probably would take an hour and a half, and that's not, I don't think, what anybody wants. So I think where I'm going to start is with the battle tech stuff, which I think is pretty awesome, and we had some pretty funny things that happened this year with it. Battle tech, if you're unfamiliar, is it's a game that's been around for a long time, a miniatures tabletop combat game. I'm going to make sure I don't bend this like here. There we go. That has been around for quite some time, and they do offer not only tables where you can do demos and gameplay over the course of the week, but on the back wall of the gaming hall. I think it's on the B side, because yeah, B is further down, I believe. Yes, B is down near the end. On that back wall, they have a whole entire setup. There's 6 of them where they have BattleTech simulator machines. And it's basically like a video game where you get into this big, and the machines are like 30 years old. They're still cool as hell, but they're like 30 years old. And you get into these things and you pilot these mechs. It's like $8 to play. It lasts for about seven minutes. They wiggle there a little bit with the timing, obviously, depending on, how heavy the crowd is. But it's a 7-minute deal, cost $8. It is fully worth it, and if you've never done it, I highly recommend it. It's super fun, especially if you do it with a bunch of friends. And that's the way that I recommend that you do that, because what happens is after you get done with your simulation, they give you a little printed out report of kind of the overview of what happened within that gameplay. And it's absolutely hilarious when you have things in here where you get taken out or you take out your friends that are also playing with you. And that can be pretty funny, especially when you go into that making the agreement with your friends that you all will not attack one another until the last minute of the game, and then make it kind of a free-for-all. and I just found, for some reason, my mech, Atlas, what a badass, because you get to pick your mech and they're all different, and there's quite a few. There's 3 of these boards they set out in front of you where they all have different stats, kind of like a video game, right? And you get to pick the mech that you're going to pilot. And I always go with Atlas, because Atlas is a badass that has a bunch of armor and tons of missiles. It's slow, but it has a lot of armor and a lot of missiles, so I always go with Atlas. And we made this agreement that we wouldn't attack, and then we get out and we start reading this, and we're just in absolute hysterics because Dave was there, and he goes by the handle of Kingsman, and you get to give yourself a gamer handle. And I was there, I'm the McGuire, and Steve was there, and he goes by Disco. So here, 22 seconds, and remember, out of the 7 minutes, we're not attacking each other. That's the agreement until the last minute. And it tells you that in the game. It will say 60 seconds remaining, 30 seconds remaining. And those are the only 2 markers that you get kind of audibly at the end of your 7 minutes. 22 seconds into the game, the McGuire targets and fires the LRM-20. Disco cries in dismay as the Dashi's right, that was his mech's, Dashi's, that was his mech's name. Right leg is damaged. Fire boils from the damaged right torso of Disco after the McGuire hits it with the medium laser. And this just continues to go on and on of me just pummeling Disco and his mech. 22 seconds into the game. It's so funny. And this goes on, and I think the best statement of all of this is Glee delivers the last blow as the McGuire's Atlas explodes in flames at 6:42. At 6:47, I'm back on the field. The McGuire brings the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse down upon Disco. We were just in absolute hysterics to what's printed out and comes out of this. So that's another thing of this. And there's things for Dave as well, where we're in and I'm attacking his mech, and it's blowing up different pieces of it. We also got some really cool high quality vinyl stickers. This was a treat of Dave. He actually bought a couple of these and gave me one of them. It's a really cool sticker here. It says Battletech 40 virtual world on it. It's pretty awesome. So I would highly recommend doing this, because that's what makes it so fun. It's not just the gameplay, but it's this little printout that you get that tells the story of how the battle went. And if you read the whole thing, it's pretty cool. I mean, obviously it's funny to see the stuff where like you attack your friends and whatnot, but it's pretty funny to see everything that's there. Okay, that really kicked off our Gen Con. We started with that Thursday morning. It was literally the first thing we did. We got there at about 8 a.m. on Thursday morning just to make sure we had parking and we were kind of prepared to do our press coverage. Dave from the Band of Badgers came as press this year as well, so we wanted to make sure that was all ready to go. But we thought, you know what? When he saw this, we thought, you know what? Let's do that to kick off the Gen Con. And then we did it again when Steve arrived a couple days later. He came a couple days after that. And we had to do it again with all 3 of us. So it was a ton of fun. We have to go to the Sorcery Contested Realms brand new mini set, Dragon Lord, right here. We have to go here next, because this was an absolute staple for me for this Gen Con, where I went there each day. You could only get one. It was 1 box per person. There was one day when my son bought one as well. He came along with me and wanted to get one. He thought it was pretty awesome, but I definitely got my individual box each day. I went there. It was the first booth I hit each day. I walked, did not run. There may have been some people that did kind of run a little bit there at the end, but I did respect the rules and I walked to the booth each day. But I definitely was in line enough, because it was the first booth I went to, and I kind of positioned myself strategically on which door to go into, depending on where the booth was located. It was a little bit of a difficult one because it wasn't all the way to the back kind of middle, a little bit past the middle back of the convention hall, or the floor, the vendor hall, to be able to get to. So it was a decent walk to be able to get there, no matter what door you went in. But I was probably, no more than 20 people were ahead of me each day by the time I made it there in line. And this was a line that went on quite a ways. The first day was intense, how big the line got and how far back it went. I think it really surprised the sorcery guys. You could see it on their face. They were walking down the line. They were taking for social media. They were taking video. It was big smiles. I don't think they could believe like the demand of people wanting the Dragon Lord set, and being able to get to meet Ed, who's the artist for this artwork and these particular cards. And he did signings of the cards, as well as he had prints. I've got 3 of them actually here. It's going to be hard to kind of get it, but you can kind of see some of the staple type prints I got. This is a little bit of a larger one, and I'm going to have these framed. And then I got the egg. This one I really loved, and this one I really loved. They were really staple pieces for the new Dragon Lord set. This one I believe was a brand new piece that was upon request from the sorcery side. I believe that's the story behind this particular piece of artwork. And then I did get a smaller one. It's over here. You can't see it, so I'll get it Get it out here. This one is the Dragon Lord himself. You can see that. Okay, I don't know, the reflection's probably going to be bad, so I'll kind of move it a little bit. But this is the actual Dragon Lord. These are all prints, obviously, but what was awesome is that Ed did a personal signing and numbering of every single print right there. So as you bought them, and I would not say that they were price gouging at all. I will tell you exactly how much they cost. This one was either 20 or 25. And he signed it right there with a really nice, like one of those gold. I'll do some side-by-side work, and you can kind of see some of this as I'm going through it. It was a nice gold pen that's actually like a paint. So it's a little bit different than just like a Sharpie sign. It's kind of like a paint. And it had to, he had to sit there for a minute. It had to dry. And then he custom numbered each piece right there, which I thought was a nice touch and was really cool. He had his daughter, Destini, there with him as well. She was really cool, really nice. Helped the whole time him with all of the numbering and, getting all the prints out as people ordered and would want to do things. She was there the entire time with him. She also has her own. Ed's really on the art side. She does a lot of vocals and music and things like that. She's got an incredible voice. Actually, I'll link some of her content below in the description if you want to check out. She has a YouTube channel. And she also worked on doing a soundtrack for Dragon Lord, which I'm going to actually buy because I've listened to some of the samples and it's incredible. Really, really cool stuff. And I thought that was kind of unique that they did a soundtrack for the Dragon Lord stuff. And it really is just more of like, I'm not sure how many minutes. Each song is probably a minute and a half or 2 minutes or something, but it's just kind of cool to have that set of music that's just sort of themed to the environment that's really going to get built out, I think, with this whole Dragon Lord set. So really, really cool there. So I did buy each one of those. These are $25. I think that one was $40, and this one was either the last day. This one was either $40 or $45. Right within those price ranges, which I thought was a good price for a print being signed and numbered right there by the artist and someone like Ed. I mean, he's a staple in the industry when it comes to artwork. He has done much more than sorcery. He's done some incredible work. I think some of his most incredible work here is with sorcery. That's just my opinion. He also does airbrushing. He does some incredible stuff with airbrushing on cars and all kinds of different stuff. His airbrush work is real, because these are different mediums, right? Like doing airbrushing versus like paint versus pencil. He really is skilled in a number of different mediums, which is not always the case for all artists. So he's pretty damn talented. So his work for sorcery is incredible. He's done a lot of stuff for Magic the Gathering as well over the years. So you probably know of Ed Beard Jr. if you are versed to the artists that kind of play within these various TCGs and within this gaming world. So I really love the artwork that he's done here. There's like incredible science and stories that are behind all of this work, where he went through and told all those stories as well, which I thought was a pretty cool thing to hear. Over the number of times I came up to get things signed and buying things. And the reason it was a really good model was because if you bought the Dragon Lord, and then you got a print or a playmat, and I'll show you those. I have 2 of them. If you got that, then he would sign a number of these cards for free. And that was really cool. I think if you just bought things slightly tweaked over the week, I think. But I think if you just bought this and you're like, hey, I didn't want a print or a playmat, because I didn't want to spend the $25 upwards to, I think the max was $45, I want to say. The playmats were $40. But most of the playmats for Flesh and Blood are going to be that or much more expensive, right? I can only imagine what these are going to be over time. And Ed signed them. So I have signed Dragon Lord playmats. How awesome is that? So if you just bought the box, I believe what happened is he would sign 3 of the cards. If you bought the box and you got a thing, you know, he would sign up to 6 of them for free. The first day and kind of the end of the day of the last day, he was actually signing all 13. Well, there's 13 game cards plus you get this extra little. So all 13 cards in here he would sign. So you got the whole entire set signed, and I got that for 2 of my boxes where all of my cards in here are signed by him, which is incredible. And I got some absolute insane pulls. I got the Avatar, the actual Dragon Lord in foil, because these sets, how they work is you get the whole set in there. It's the same every time. But then one of those cards is a random foil of that card. That's sort of like the blind pack aspect of these Dragon Lord sets. And the ones that I happened to get were literally some of the most rare. I got the Dragon Lord in foil. That is a rare one. It's the actual Avatar card. I have that signed. Incredible. I've got the Time Dragon, the Time Lord here, which is an entire story around this. The artwork for this one is absolutely incredible. Just, it's insane. This is probably one of my favorites. So I had to get this particular piece. He's got all these little secret hidden things that are all embedded into this piece. I'm gonna get a really nice frame for this one. It's gonna look really cool. I got that in foil. I also got the Layer, which is the Sight card in foil. That one is incredibly rare. Ed indicated he only saw maybe 4 or 5 of them out of all the boxes that he signed that people bought, which I would say probably was... I mean, I don't know how many of them it was, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was 1,000 or more that were actually purchased and signed. It would not surprise me at all. I'm not sure how many there were, but it had to be big numbers like that. And he indicated to me when I had him sign mine that he had only seen like 4 or 5 of them out of all of that. And it was also incredible that Ed's box had the... when he did a live unboxing in a video himself before of unboxing it, and his box had the Layer, had the Sight, which was pretty incredible. That was pretty awesome because it literally is the artwork. It's the core artwork that they keep kind of promoting of the Dragon Lord and set. It's that piece where it's got the Layer and it's got all of the dragons. And he told kind of the entire story that is really around here of like what's going on here with the dragons that are more from the lightning and the electric side are up here circling, and they're creating all of this energy and this power that actually goes down through this and these crystalline chambers that goes all the way down to where the egg actually is here. This is what this is. This is the electricity that you see at the top channeling down there through those tubes, and the Dragon Lord kind of plays sort of this big organ that's producing the tones and the frequency that goes in there to be birthing this new generation of a dragon and injecting the soul into that dragon. So it's really an awesome story and lore that goes into all of this artwork. And that's what I really liked about Ed and all of this, was the fact that there's so much behind the artwork. It isn't just, oh, I got an idea, we need a bunch of dragons for a set, okay, I'll draw a bunch of cool looking dragons. Like, no, there is like real thought and story and lore and just an incredible amount of art and science that is going into these pieces of work. And that's what made it so special for me. And I think that's what's going to really make this so special, like, as we go on through time. Sorcery Contested Realms, I can't speak more highly of it. It is the TCG you should be playing if you're into this kind of stuff. And the lore and the RPG and the artwork, it's all hand-drawn. It will always be only hand-drawn. That's their thing, is just incredible hand-drawn art. So I did get this. It is signed. It's probably really hard to see. It was hard to see on these playmats. I would have loved for him to sign the playmats. I think with that gold ink pen probably would have been... I don't know if that would have been good on this material or not. I was going to ask him, but I didn't want to throw off his what he was doing and what he was using for what stuff. But he did use the gold ink a paint pen on all of this. But it's signed. It's right down here. It is kind of hard to see, but the signature is right here. I'll zoom a little bit. The signature is right here, and he signed at the same spot on each of them. So now I do have a signed Ed Beard Jr. playmat, which I will frame. So I'll put the playmat probably at the bottom, or actually no. What I'll do is I'll get a big frame, and I'm going to put the playmat framed in with this particular piece, because that story and that art kind of goes together. So one of my playmats will be framed, and I'll keep in there signed. I'll keep forever. The other playmat, I'm not sure what I'll do with it. I want to use it, but at the same time, I'm like, how do I use it and kind of protect that signature? Like, I need to look into that. Like, is there a way that I can sort of tape off and spray that little piece with like some protectant sealant, or so I don't know. I just don't want it like rubbing off over time and being like, oh, I got this Ed Beard Jr. playmat. It was signed, but the signature's gone now because I've used it 100 times and I've rubbed my arm on it. And now the signature is gone. So I need to figure out a way to protect that, because I do want to keep that one and actually use it. That would be a pretty amazing thing to show up to a card shop with. Okay, so that's the whole Dragon Lord story. Again, this is going to be a longer video where we get into some stories, but I think you might be skipping around, but there's people out there that are going to be interested in this kind of stuff, because if you weren't there and you didn't get this experience, that's what I want this video to be about, is to be able to give you that experience of what it was like and what I ran into. There were a number of press events. One of them I went to was two of the bigger ones I went to the Asmodee press event, which was pretty cool. They had the Battle of Hoth. They had this game here, this Cardia. They had the new Raid Clash. They had the new Clash of Clans game that is coming to funding. They had a number of different things. They had Star Wars Unlimited, some new sets there. We got a few booster packs that I opened up. There was a promo that was pretty sick that we got there as well. And in the little press bag, I thought was pretty cool and thoughtful, little Asmodee fan. I think it's actually pretty cool because it's got the little Asmodee logo on it. And it's got a clip, which is real nice, so you're able to clip it on your backpack or whatever. And it is just one of those little fans. And it's got 2 speeds, right? So, I mean, this was needed over the course of this Gen Con for how hot it was. So, I did think that was a nice little thoughtful thing for them to put in there. They could have put really anything, but I thought that was a thoughtful little thing to put in. So we went to that. Also went to the Wizards of the Coast, the D&D Wizards press event. That one I would say was probably a little bit more exclusive. That was a very nice press event. They hold that on the top floor of the Indiana Ballroom. It's in a different building than the convention center. Very, very nice room. They had the fancy little desserts and appetizers. So that was pretty cool. And they had drinks as well, not alcoholic, but fancy non-alcoholic drinks. So that was pretty cool. There was a number of little like vendor booths that was different that they put there. There wasn't a lot of them, maybe four or five of them that were there. Beetle and Grimm's was one of those, so that was pretty awesome that they were there. We talked to some folks that had some really, really cool dice. So we're going to be working with that company actually as we go forward to do some product reviews of different things. The Dungeon Dudes were there, so got to talk to those guys a little bit. They had their whole RPG system that's been funded there as well. They were promoting, so we got to talk a little bit about that. And then, there was the actual event. It was nice. They had a whole stage set up. Quite a few of the leads were there, and they had a conversation about some upcoming things, primarily the starter sets, some of the new books they're going to have. All of this stuff is out of embargo now. We were under embargo when we saw this on Wednesday. That's when the event was. Specifically for some of the books, as well as the whole Wizards and Paizo partnership that we're now seeing, where they're doing the Paizo content converted into 5e, as well as that content being on D&D Beyond. And they're going to start with the Vaults, which I think is smart. That's a pretty popular piece there. And I can only imagine and speculate what this is really going to become between those two companies, now competing in a landscape with Critical Role and Daggerheart, and how big that momentum and movement is there. We've also got a number of Wizards of the Coast big names and leaders that have either left that company or been asked to leave that company for one reason or the other, now have magically showed up on the Daggerheart side. You can look more into that if you want to. All the big names that used to be in D&D are now on the Daggerheart side. And I'm going to tell you right now, I can only imagine what a couple years from now is going to look like when Wizards, the prior juggernaut, is going to be competing against Critical Role and Daggerheart and their system. It's only obvious to me what they're doing with the entire Paizo relationship and bringing them in closer and closer, and ultimately probably completely close. Now, I'm not saying anything that I know. This is complete speculation, but the writing is on the wall. We'll have to see how that plays out and what that looks like, because I'm a huge fan of Dungeons & Dragons. I want them to continue to be very successful. I love the world. I love the story. I love the lore. I love Dungeons & Dragons. I also love the Paizo, Pathfinder, and Starfinder stuff as well. But it isn't like I'm out to see Wizards be toppled by, some other brand or some other IP. I think the core of the RPG environment want to continue to see Dungeons & Dragons be very successful. So I do hope for that as we go forward, and I hope they put the proper business strategy around that. They do have quite a few new people that are involved, so we'll have to see how that goes as well. And I think that's all up for kind of speculation, as well as like what's going to happen, because pretty much all the top leadership has been refreshed out. So that's going to be kind of an interesting new era. Now, inside of the little press bag, when we left, everybody got a little kind of goodie bag, which they didn't really draw any attention to. And quite frankly, depending on how you left that event, you may have walked right past this without getting it. So hopefully everybody got their little goodie bag, because there was some pretty cool stuff inside. We got the brand new Dungeons & Dragons Ravenloft book, Heir of Strahd, which I'm excited about. I can't wait to actually read this. Looks like a really good book. The pages are nice and thick. Fonts at a good size. So I'm excited about this. Nice hardback copy of the book. There was also two other products in here. This one's kind of a blind pack unboxing. We're going to open it right now. It's called the Dungeons & Dragons The Yawning Portal Treasure Pack, the Waterdeep collection. So they're going to have different collections of this. It's from Serious Dice. This is the company that we were talking to. They had a little booth there. We'll open this. Every one of these... Oh, it's got an interesting smell. Every one of these is different. Mine's yellow. I don't really know the rarity of this. It doesn't say it on here, but they are all different in here. It is a blind pack. You get one dice set, one ability coin, and one D&D dice bag. Contents are randomly packed and may not be what the images showed here. Okay, so it's random pack. I like the yellow. It's pretty cool. Dungeons and Dragons. Right, got a little image there on it, which I think that may be the same, but the color of the bag is different. So I have no idea if I'm getting something rare or not, but there are rare pools in here. So this is the bag I got, the yellow one. I got a nice purple set of dice. These dice actually look pretty sick. They're a little bit different. They got kind of a they're like that acrylic dye, but they got like this powdery. I love the actual look of the dice. I'm glad I got the purple because I love that amethyst look. But they've got like a powdery coating to them. Really cool. Like, really nice dice. I like those. That's awesome. I don't know if I got something special or not. And then I got a coin. I would say it's not rare. This is just, it looks like a standard coin, just made of the standard kind of dark gray metal. But I am glad that I got the coin that's got the D&D ampersand symbol on it. And then on the back, it says Magic Initiate. Whoa, Magic Initiate Wizard. So it's a wizard coin. Okay? So that's on the back. So this must be the wizard. Maybe that's how they do it. You get like a druid or a wizard or a fighter. I got the wizard. Maybe that's why the dice are kind of purpley like that. So that's really cool. And it does have the D&D ampersand on it. So I'll keep that all together in there. That's pretty awesome. And it's got a really cool little drawstring. It is nicer than kind of your standard drawstring, and it's branded Dungeons and Dragons all the way around it. So that is awesome. And the last thing that is the last thing, right? Yeah, the last thing that was in here was a Dungeons and Dragons little crate. It's like a little box. I don't have my bone shiv of death here. Oh, I was able to slice it, but it has a little tag here, and you open it up. It's a little mimic treasure chest. Pretty nice, kind of branded all the way around, with little teeth and everything. It's pretty cool. This is not a like blind bucks thing. What's in here? It is just a product. Is you get a little box, right? So it says, in this rules of dungeon survival, X is the mystic warns. Sometimes a chest is just a chest, but don't bet on it. Use this box to store your dice and gaming accessories safely within the chest. So it's got a little box with a little tongue on the front of it, and you can use that to store just that, your dice and various things. And here you have a number of different little notebooks, and they're all different as far as the artwork is concerned. Inside, they're just paper, but some of them have dots, some of them have lines. You know, two of them look like notebooks with just the lines. Looks like one of them has kind of just the dots where you can kind of draw stuff, and then another one, the other two have kind of like the grid pattern. So they're all different, and you can put that. It's kind of like a travel. You can think of this as like maybe a little travel kit, you know, where you have your notebooks where you're taking notes and drawings, and then you store all your dice and maybe your miniature and any other little, you know, coins or tokens or something or cards or whatever. You could store it in this little box, and then you got a nice little chest. And I would say, you know, that lid is not like securely snapping back down. So you might want to throw a little rubber band around that, or maybe even do your own little custom, you know, what I might do is a little custom Velcro strap or something. There's lots of different ways you can make your own little better secure there. If you want to actually travel around with it in this, which is really designed to do that. So this is pretty cool. I think this is really neat. And that was quite a bit that I think came sort of from a goodie perspective that was in the bag there. But again, we're talking about wizards. They're kind of the juggernaut in the RPG industry. So having a nice little goodie bag like that for the press event, I think was warranted and was smart. Okay, so we'll put I don't know, set it right there, I guess. Okay. Another big thing that I did, we'll go right here to the signature, is I got the Margaret Weiss book here. This is the classic Dragonlance series. They released this newer kind of like take all the three older books, the core, like the OG, right, and put it in this really nice matte finished hardback. I think this is a very high quality book. I really like the outside of this book. It was $35. I don't think a ridiculous price to ask for a super nice book like this, especially when inside the book I have Margaret's signature. So she made it out there to me, Josh, and she signed it. Pretty awesome. $35. Get all three OG books. Really want to read through this. Pretty awesome. One thing I will say about the book, I'm perfectly fine with the font size. I think that's good. I will say the pages are incredibly thin to the point where you can like almost literally see right through them. And I get it. There's a lot they're packing into this book. It's over 1,000 pages. It's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger the thicker you make those pages. So I understand from a design perspective, you're trying to pack a lot. These are big books alone. You're trying to pack a lot into this one volume, but the pages are fairly thin. I'm okay with it, but I will throw that out there just from a review perspective. If you are a book person where you're really looking at the quality of the book, some things I think are really, really high on the quality. The exterior of this book is a very high quality book. The pages are a little thin, but I'm okay with it. Okay, so I got that, and I was excited about getting that. I didn't even have to stand in a line when I actually picked this up. There were lines initially, but I didn't get nailed with a line. I just walked right up, and Margaret was sitting there, and and I bought the book, and I said, "Hey," and she's like, "Yep, I'll sign it." And we opened it up, and she gave me the signature. Very nice. So this was another big event I did actually for the first time. We attended one of the Glass Cannon off-site events. Now, these are tickets you don't get through the Gencon cycle. You buy these through another, it's kind of outside of Gencon. And they do it at a theater. It's attached to the Rathskeller, if you know where that is. It's, I don't know, maybe a mile from the convention center. It's if I remember correctly. We took a lift to be able to get there because we went back to the hotel first to kind of drop everything off, and then we took a lift from the hotel over to the theater. I did the VIP experience. That's a little bit different. You arrive a couple hours earlier. You get kind of access right to the drinks. I will say they make the drinks fairly stiff. Woo! That old fashioned was nuts. And then you get to meet each one of the cast members, so they were all there. And there's kind of they do it kind of differently depending on what the venue offers. There was a table with merch, so you get access to that merch table and can kind of get whatever you want before everybody else in the general seating shows up for the show. So it's pretty cool, and you get this nice, thick lanyard that says VIGCP on it, Glass Cannon Live. We went to the Ascension one, which is the Pathfinder game. They did another one that was Cthulhu the night after that, Cthulhu Live. We did not attend that one. We wanted to go to the Pathfinder game. And it was I would say the experience was pretty cool. High energy. They do a good job with that. And then you could get they'll sign anything if you're part of that VIP, whether it's merch or whatever. I thought it'd be cool for them just to sign the VIP badge because it's white on the back. The only thing that I was a little disappointed with for the price you pay for that VIP experience is I wish I would have been able to get everybody's signature. I think they should. So we'll go kind of like a feedback piece here. They should prioritize that, because if you're paying the kind of money you're paying to do that VIP experience, and it's a decent chunk to be able to do that VIP experience, you really should be able to walk away with at least everybody's autograph, and being able to get that moment to at least say a few words to everybody. I know it's hard because of the amount of people that are there, and everybody's in a line, and everybody takes their few minutes to kind of walk up and say hi and take a picture. I got pictures with the folks that I talked to. Was only able to get 3 of their signatures. I should have had 4 because I talked to Troy for quite a bit and got some pictures with him. And then when we walked away, we were in line to talk to Kate, and I was like, hang on a second. We didn't get Troy's signature. And I was like, and he already had a line now again with other people, and we didn't want to bug him again. So before the show started. Now, Dave, my Badger friend, was smart and carried this little badge around with him for the rest of the con. I didn't. I left it back in the hotel, and then I couldn't even find it because I just, you're going back to the hotel, you're just unloading every night to get your backpack to not weigh 30 pounds again. And I'm just putting things in bags and I'm just kind of putting stuff in the closet, right? Got various bags, I'm just throwing things in, and I'm like, just sort it all out when I get home. Well, I just basically lost this, couldn't find it. I didn't even know where I stuck it. And the smart thing was Dave kept his with him in his bag, and then over the course of the week, when we attended more events or we just randomly ran into people, good Lord, he got his final signature from Matthew in the airport on his way out, which is absolutely hilarious, that he finalized his set by getting that signature as he left in the airport, where he also saw Sid again, too. That was a lot of fun. Very, I would say very down to earth, cool folks, right? I mean, they've got a good thing going. They definitely have like a brand that's really popping. They're not like, celebrity status over the top. It's not a thing like that. I really feel like the Glass Cannon brand is this just hardcore, like the people that are there, they love Glass Cannon, and the people that are there are Glass Cannon fans, and that's what I really like about Glass Cannon is, you look at these venues and it's like there's still seats. It's not completely sold out. It's not completely packed. There's a couple hundred people there. There's not a couple thousand people there. It's just not that kind of, I think, environment right now, and it may never be for Glass Cannon, and that's fine, right? But it's the people that are there, they're huge fans and they want to be there, and it's just, I don't know, it's hard to describe. It's a high energy family, you feel belong there kind of like environment and event, and I had a great time. And I would highly recommend going to one of those Glass Cannon off-site Gen Con shows. They do it every year. They usually do there's two if not three of those shows they do off-site in those theaters. And I would highly recommend doing one of them. Just, step into it. You don't have to go the full VIP. Just buy the ticket, go to the event, have fun, have some drinks. They're well priced. The drinks are not overpriced. The drinks were actually priced really good. Lord, my old fashioned was $5 and it was a cup o' liquor. So, that's incredible. Keep that going. But I did get 3 of the signatures. I got Sid, I got Kate, and I got Joe. Those are the 3. I should have had Troy, but I just forgot. But I did see them in other events. Again, Dave being smart, having his badge. After the events, we went to the Marvel stream. There was a couple other Glass Cannon lives we did that were there in the Gen Con convention center buildings, like the 2-hour deals that groups do. And afterwards, it isn't like these big lines form. Like afterwards, they're like, okay, it's over. Everybody claps and essentially people leave. And they're still standing up front, talking, cleaning up, getting their stuff. And you can just easily walk right up front and say, hey, Troy or Kate, like, would you mind signing this? Or talk for a second. And some people were doing that, and that's what Dave did with his badge, and he got the full set signed. So if you're looking for particular people, the lesson to the story here is if you're looking for particular people's signatures because they are a celebrity in your mind or you're just a big fan of their work, they'll be at Gen Con, they're walking around. I would say 99% of these people would love to take a second to pull out a pen and sign something for you. I mean, why would you not? That just makes you feel good, right? Like someone's coming up to you and they actually want your signature on something. I don't care who you are, you should do that. That's just being a good human being. And the Glass Cannon folks were just all about that. And that's why I've really come to respect and like that crew. They're just open and they're about the community and they're about the people. So that's my Glass Cannon story. I highly suggest you guys check them out if you have not seen, or just go to one of the standard Gen Con streams. They really do a good job. They're absolutely hilarious, and they should have a bigger following than they have. They should have more subscribers than they have. So I hope to see that success continue because they are absolutely hilarious, and they all have the ability to, on the spot, put on a good show and have a lot of jokes and witty stuff that happens that's just, and I'm talking, it's not like ha ha ha, like chuckle stuff that you'll see from a lot of these other groups. It is gut-busting jokes and things that they do that are absolutely hilarious. Like, I mean, there are many times in their shows that I was literally laughing, like gut-bust laughing, and I don't experience that with a lot of the other groups. You'll get your chuckles here and there, but they do a fantastic job with that, okay? Battle of Hoth, amazing. We'll be doing a full video on this, so I'm not going to go deep. Really, really cool. Imagine battle lore, Memorial 44, with a Star Wars theme. but it's streamlined, it's quick, and it's easy. It's one of these like miniature tabletop games that like don't have all the heavy rules, but like the rules that are there are designed well, so the game moves fast and the strategy and the it's all still there. I love the smaller scale. Love it. I wish they would have even went smaller. If this was 15 mil, I'd have been even more in love with it. I kind of got a thing now where I'm looking at these platforms and I'm like, miniaturize, miniaturize, miniaturize. If I can take a ton of stuff in a small box or package and still have that big epic experience, all the better. So really nice job on the scale of everything here. And I'd even have liked to, like if it was even smaller than this, and some people may have not liked that, I'd have loved it even more. But really, really like this. We'll do full content on it. We did get Twisted Fables as well. It's a really cool 2 to 4 player combat game. You got little miniatures, you got cards, you got the small cards, you got the standard size cards, you got a board that triggers different events. It just got a lot of different mechanics that I really liked, and I really liked the deck building aspect of how this particular game worked, and I liked the miniatures of this particular game, and that's why I wanted to cover it. It isn't like this huge, like overly successful, like, oh my god, everybody's talking about Twisted Fables. But it is a platform that when I saw it and I went through the mechanics with one of the guys there, it hit all the things that I thought were done well, and I really want to showcase that for them because, again, none of this stuff is paid for. It's not an advertisement. I like it. I think it's good, and I want to tell people about it. We got the Bandai stuff. Bandai did stuff very differently this year. Last year, I think they went overboard, and I think they might have got kiboshed on it, which they had 3 different areas for their booths. One in Lucas Oil Stadium, one in the Convention Center, and one in the Gaming Hall. All 3 sold product. All 3 had promo packs, and it was an absolute mess of people running all over the place, showing up at 5 a.m. in the morning, standing in lines, and I think Gencon leadership said, yeah, that's not what we're trying to create here. I mean, again, I'm speculating a little bit, but none of the TCGs did that this time. That was also the year where people were sleeping in the convention center all night waiting for these like Lorcana releases and sets. You didn't see that again this year. So I think there was a message to these, because TCGs have gotten big over the course of the last few years just in their own right. They've gotten bigger and bigger. And now they're starting to creep into kind of the board game and tabletop game space within Gencon. A few years ago, there wasn't like booths that were real big with like TCGs. It was primarily RPGs and board games. Now you're seeing a bunch of these TCGs move into this convention, which I'm all for because I love all this stuff. I'm a huge fan. Like Legend Story Studios is now there now with Flesh and Blood. You've got Sorcery there. You've got Bandai there. You've got like all of these, and they're making a presence there. They're not just there. They got booths. They got product. They're making a presence and doing all kinds of stuff. So what they did this year was they only sold, and I wish I would have known this ahead of time, because Bandai was actually one of the first booths I went to on the first day to try to get Gundam the card game and the promo, and I show up and they're like, yeah, no merch here. I'm like, awesome. So it was only in the gaming hall. So I went to the gaming hall and I did get lucky, and I got one of the little tickets as well that told me I could come back at a certain time. And this was the first day I got one of those tickets because I don't think everybody knew that's what they were doing. I just happened to get lucky. I was walking around the gaming hall and there was a guy, he was standing there with a whole stack of tickets like this big. He was just kind of standing there like waiting for people to take them. That was not the case every day past then. And I'm like, hey, what about the Bandai? Or what about the Gundam? And he's like, oh, you'll need one of these little tickets. And he handed me a ticket. I'm like, okay, cool. And I stuck it in my pocket. Didn't realize there was a time frame on it. And I had to come back at a certain time to get my product. And I only had a 30-minute window. So at the end of that day, I came back from my 10 a.m. window time frame. And luckily, the people that were there at the booth, and there was really nobody there, it was literally at the end of the day, were really, really nice. And I said, hey, I got this ticket, but it's got this little, it seems like there's a time on it. And I didn't know that, but I've got the ticket. And they were gracious enough to say, don't worry about it. You got your ticket. It's the end of the day. And I was able to get my 12 packs of Gundam. And because it was the end of the day, I actually got 2 of the starter sets. And you were, I think, supposed to technically only be able to buy 1 per day. So that is the only reason that I have 2 of these, and I would have never been able to get any more of them because every day after that, people were at the con at 7 a.m. in the morning. They didn't come any earlier than that. It was respectable this time. People were there at 7 a.m. in the morning, and those tickets were gone by 8 or 8:30. Those tickets were gone by 8 because I was there a number of days by 8:15, 8:20, and I would go right there every day to see if I could get another ticket because I really wanted all 4 of these. And because I have all 4 of them in the regular starter decks. I have them. I wanted the miniatures. I wanted the sets that came with the assembly miniatures because I also do the miniatures and the painting, and I wanted to paint all. If you get all 4, you got 12 of these little miniatures. I want to paint them all and then have them when I play the game. And they'll be used for their future to come miniatures game that they're releasing, which is Gundam Assembly. So I wanted them. And I couldn't get them. So I was lucky enough to get these 2. It was a special situation. I did not use any of my press credentials or any of that to be able to get it. I just happened to get a really nice, generous person that was sitting there, and it was the end of the day, and I had my ticket. So that's the only way that I got 2. And I did not have the chance to get any more go forward. Every day the tickets were gone. I did not get a chance to get any more Gundam. So it was only that first day that I got these 2 in my 12 packs. Out of my 12 packs, I pulled about $50 or $60 worth of hits, which was huge. I think because they were just randomized packs. That was pretty awesome. And also because the game just came out, so any of the special rares, the legendary rares, I think is what they call their rares, the LRs, or the R pluses or the C pluses, you can get any of these cards. You can get a little plus to it, and it makes that particular type of rarity a little bit more special and better. And commons all the way through the best of their rares have that, which I think is a really cool thing. You can get 1 plus or 2 pluses. That was a really smart thing for them to do. The card quality is incredible. I'm not going to go deep on that. We're going to do entire videos on Gundam the card game, but I'm very impressed in what I see so far, and I really, really like the game. So that was really cool, and that's how the whole Bandai Gundam thing went. I think there was a lot of disappointed people not getting those tickets, trying to get the product, but it is what it is. They only have so much. They did bring a ton of it, but they only have so much. And I think they're gonna struggle to try to keep this one in print. I think it's very much going to be another one of these one-piece situations where as soon as the set comes out, it's like almost immediately sold out online within the first hour or so. So just be watching for reprints on that, and I hope that the stores don't continue to just do the price gouging. But again, it's got to go with the print run amount, and it's got to go with the market. And Bandai's got to be smart that they don't just overprint the hell out of it, and it's just Game Piece Army goes nuts, and next thing you know, it's not even collectible anymore, and there's just, it's sitting in bargain bins because they print so much of it. That's not what we want, because there's an aspect, and again, this is my opinion. There may be people that disagree with this. I want everybody to be able to play it, but there's also this piece of collectability that's part of this. It's part of the TCG world, and you want to be able to get those big hits, and you want to be able to have that collectability, but there needs to be a balance where people can actually get their hands on the game and play it too. So that's a hard balance to find sometimes for these companies, but Bandai's done a pretty damn good job with that over the years. They've made a few hiccups here and there, but they've for the most part have done a pretty good job with that. So we'll see. We'll see how it happens with Gundam and how they balance that. Because it is an incredible game, and I hope it gets in the hands of many more people. Got to see Warlord, the guys from Warlord. I'm anxiously waiting for that. I got my promos somewhere. Oh, it's right here. Got some Warlord promos that are in here. It's actually more than one. I just stuck it in this hard case here, but I wanted to get those promos. And then they did have these little demo decks. They had a number of them when I walked up. I introduced myself. I let them know I was waiting on the game, and that I've already reached out to them from a channel perspective. I want to cover this game on the channel. So they did give me they handed me all of the demo decks they were using. You would sign up for an event, and you would get one of these decks to be able to do a demo. So I've got them all. and I can use them to start playing and kind of exploring with different, combos and setups as I'm waiting for Warlord to arrive through Kickstarter. And I did back it and kickstart it. I have a substantial amount of stuff that's coming. Well, not substantial. I mean, I got the whole, all the starter deck pack. I got some booster boxes. I got, things from that perspective. I may have got some playmats too. I can't remember. But, I spent a decent amount kickstarting that because I believe in that game and product, and I wanted the game. It's an awesome, awesome game. I love the I love the artwork that the style that they went with, and the game itself is very, very cool in the way that it works. It's got some luck in it. It's not just all skill. Some people are not going to like that. It's not going to be a game like some of these other TCGs where you build a super strong deck. You can have a super strong deck and absolutely lose to a newbie that does not have a super strong deck because of die rolls. It uses a D20 system, and you are rolling a D20 when you're doing attacks and defenses. So there's a complete luck mechanic that's built into this game, and I actually really like that. I think it's fresh. It's something you can play and have some fun with, and all the outcomes can be hilarious because you could have the super strong, really good card, and then it ends up failing because you roll a 1. So it is really cool from that perspective. Some people are not going to like that, but that's what I actually love about that game, and I can't wait to get my hands on it and be able to play. There's various little promos. We did do the True Dungeon. This is a staple. You really want to do this if you haven't done it. I played the Druid. You can play a different class. You pretty much go through this with your friends. It's a live action Dungeons and Dragons experience where you will have all of your stats. You'll roll your dice. You'll fight monsters. I'm not going to tell you everything that you're going to see or experience. I don't want to ruin that. It is more of a high dollar kind of thing. It was $128 for the ticket. And, you can be the judge on if it's worth that or not. I think every year they do different things. The setups are different. The animatronics are getting... They're pretty high end. It's pretty awesome stuff. One thing I will say is, and this was my second time doing it. It was the first time for my friends that went through. I think it's critical on the group that you go through because you don't get that choice. It's just everybody that's signed up in that slot. We had an amazing group, very generous players. They were very, very experienced. But what I loved about pretty much everybody in the group was that they were all they got it. They really wanted our experience to be good and to be solid. We did decide to go hardcore mode because some of them were pretty powerful and we thought we would be fine. And it would give us a little bit extra. So we did go hardcore mode. And I'm glad that we did because, my God, if we would have went normal mode, it would... I don't think the new players would have even... We could have just sat there the entire time and did nothing. And the problem was we had... And it wasn't his fault. The problem is we had one guy that was in our group that was and he wasn't really part of this other crew, but he was just a hardcore, he was like a True Dungeon guy. He's been there from the beginning kind of guy. He had the tokens strung all over him. He had all the super high dollar stuff, and he hit like a Mack truck. He was a dwarf fighter, and I think he just should have nerfed himself and scaled back, and it would just been so much more of a fun experience. But he just kind of went all in. It was almost like entering in a dungeon adventure with a bunch of level 3s and 4s, and he's like a level 18 or 20. That's kind of how the experience went because of that, because and everybody else that was super experienced, they nerfed themselves. They were doing the same amount of damage that we were doing. They were only using extra things in certain situations to kind of help to give us the edge, but they absolutely nerfed themselves. And this guy just did not nerf himself. He just went all in and I think he just kind of loved the fact that he was doing 100 points of damage on every hit, and we were doing 12 points of damage on every hit. So it really just kind of hosed the experience of the big combat battles. We just won every single one of them with ease. It just didn't even make a difference. We had fun sort of. I'm not going to tell you how it works because that kind of ruins it, but you want to experience that as a player if it's your first time. But that did kind of take a step back on the combat. However, that did not overwrite the puzzles that we needed to solve because nothing there he had could really attribute to that. So those were really, really fun when we got to solve those puzzles and work together in those different puzzle rooms. And I thought the puzzle rooms were pretty cool in this particular adventure we did. They offer 3 different ones. We did the crypt, the Runecrag crypt one. So that's the one we did. There were other ones. I have no idea what the puzzle rooms or what those looked like, but the one we did was pretty fun. So when I walked out of it, was I like, oh my God, that was totally worth the $128? Not really, because of the particular experience. I think if it was more in the $70 mark, I would have been like, yeah, that was totally worth it. Again, I think it was just because of the group and the level of experience of those players, but all the other experienced players, they were, and they, one thing I'll say, I don't know if any of them will ever watch this video, but one thing that I'll say is that they went over to try to ensure that our experience was good, and to keep giving advice and to help, and like they provided, that's what all of this is. They were all just giving us tons and tons of these little tokens and chips. You get these little chips and you use these to like be your spells and to be your attacks and different things. They just kept handing us tons and tons of these chips and making sure that like our armor and we had sets and we have the right weapons, and they were just overly helpful in this game playing with us. And I thought that was pretty incredible that they actually took a step back in their experience to be able to make our experience better. And those are the kind of players that I want to play with, and those are the kind of people that I think for the most part make up this community at Gencon and make up the stuff you'll see in True Dungeons. So that was really awesome. And if any of those people do see this video, thank you very much, because you did make our experience better, and you definitely enhanced my friend's experience, which it was their first time, because of that, being gracious and having that, and kind of offset it a little bit of the sort of needing to be nerfed, right, with some of the party members, because it was just overly powerful, and it does make a difference with the experience. So thank you for that. There's a number of other little things on the table. I'm not really going to hit them. It's kind of just a various product. I will say there's some things I'm going to use more for the review video. I did get another one of every year they do the collective art. I don't know why this isn't bigger than what it is. We have a print from every single year. They only do 50 of these prints. It's the prior years, and every year my family works on attributing, to this. You can just walk up and paint. Anybody can do this. We have our initials. They're always there throughout the drawing of whatever, the family works on. I'll be able to look at this and find my family's initials always on all, and I have all of them since they started to do this. So this was last year's. It was an incredible print. They only, again, do 50 of these prints every year. We got 18 this year. So we always go there to get our print, our prior year's print. This next year, I cannot wait to get the print. It was an incredible piece of art that they did this year. I was really excited about it. I thought it was a really, really cool one. And I'll get that. So we got that. And then let's see, there was a number of other little things that I got. We got the deck of player safety. I talked to this guy for a while. He gave us a full demo. I think that's probably one of the best systems if you're interested in having these kind of like safety systems before you start your RPG. Just kind of like what's off limits and what's not. This is a great, super simple system. So he was a really nice guy. Stepped us through that one night. Got to meet Mike, a buddy from the Weather Dragon. Wow, I've been doing some streaming and talking to him online for years. Got to meet him in person finally for the first time. Get to see one of his absolutely incredible gaming tables, which I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I am going to buy one at some point. I don't know when, but over the course of the next few years, I am going to buy one. And I'm going to replace this table for a number of different reasons. I will tell you that, like, this is one of the Wormwood gaming tables. It was one of their first Kickstarters. It is the War gaming table. It is absolutely enormous, and it is just too big. That's the bottom line. It's too big. It does serve its purpose for doing war gaming either in the vault or on the tabletop, it is pretty much worthless for anything else. You cannot effectively play board games on this. You cannot effectively play card games on this. It's just too wide. That's the problem. You can't see what's going on. You're like trying to stretch all the way across the table to give someone something. Playing RPGs on this table? Great. Playing tabletop games on this table? Great. And quite frankly, that's what it was designed for. So that's kind of on me. I just thought that it would also kind of work for the board games and the card games and everything else. It just doesn't. So, and it's also it's just too big of a piece of furniture down here. So I'm going to get rid of this, or I'm going to put it somewhere else in the house, or I'm going to sell it. I don't know. I could sell it for substantially more than what I bought it for. I was part of one of the first Kickstarters. I got this entire table with even extra things that were added on for like $1,700 shipped. That was the total price with the $400 shipping. It's like $1,700. You don't get these tables anymore for that. This would easily be a $3,500, if not a $4,000 table at this point. So I don't have any problem from that perspective, like finding somebody and giving them a good price. I would not even sell it for anything near that if I go that route, or I'll use this somewhere else in my house, but it's not going to be here. I'm going to swap it out, and when I do, it's going to probably be more than likely one of Mike's Weather Dragon tables. They are just absolutely an experience that I cannot explain until you see it in person. When you see these tables in pictures and videos, it just looks like a cool gaming table. When you see this table in person and you sit down to it, it is like the soul of this table comes alive. You get goosebumps that go up your arms, and you feel like you have connected with this table. And it somehow is got some kind of connection to a deity, and you have now become part of that. I can't explain it any other way, but it is going to happen. One of those tables will be in this environment at some point, because it's just the way that it is. So I did get one of his little tags, and it now has found its way onto my Gencon badge. This is what I use. This is my badge holder. It's a Gencon 50 badge, and I've got a number of things on there. And you don't get on this badge easily, so there's only so much room. I do have the Beetle and Grimm tag, I have the Weather Dragon tag, and I've got my little Critical Role Critter tag on here. And I really keep this not because I'm such a huge fan anymore. I was at one point, but this is a fairly rare little tag they had, and I got this literally handed to me by the Critical Role folks. Like, this was back in the day where like they actually walked the convention center floor, and they hadn't like exploded in popular. I mean, they were popular, but they hadn't like gone overboard yet to that kind of like RPG celebrity status. They just actually had a booth on the floor. I mean, Matt Mercer was right in the booth, and various different parts of their team were, you know, the cast was walking around the convention floor, right? Like, I remember when Mercer and Marisha used to just walk around the convention floor, and I was like, oh, there they are. They're just standing there at like a booth. So this was literally handed to me by them. So that's why I keep that. It's kind of a special moment or thing. But Mike has made the badge, so that's pretty awesome, and he will proudly be displayed there, maybe forever. All right, team, that's where we're going to cut this video. This has gone on. I knew this would be a long one. That's where we're going to cut this video. Number of little promotional things and different items around the table, but I wanted to tell kind of the core stories and the really fun stuff that happened with each one of these different things that we've got here. I will end this on, they did 4 different copies of the Gen Con exclusive beer cans this year. I only got 2 of them. I keep all of these. I'm not going to, if that's going to be a thing, I'm not going to, just more and more cans I got to keep. But I did end up with 2 of the 4. They were the same other than the little logo and the color of the wrapping that were on them. So I did get those 2 this year, and I'll put those with the collection of all the other cans that I have. And again, until next year, hopefully I see some of you there. I will obviously be there in 2026. God willing, it is something that I do every single year. And I will try to not miss a Gen Con probably for the rest of my life until I'm able to continue to go to this convention and it exists. I will be there. So with that, team, keep rolling them crits. This has been the McGuire Review, and we'll see you next time.